What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Whiskey Morgue podcast where we talk about what we're drinking and the horror we're watching. I'm your host, Mike, and tonight I am joined by director, cinematographer, producer, Jamie Root of JFR Media. And she's worked on epic films you might know, like Terrifier 2, Terrifier 3, Stream, and most recently, Screamboat. That's quite the resume. Jamie, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited. This is going to be fun. I'm nervous for this.
I like doing these intros like we haven't been talking 10 minutes before I hit record,
Right.
but
Like we didn't just have a whole conversation.
I got to start saving those too because that was a lot of fun.
You
I'm
should. You
glad you're
should.
excited about the whiskey because you were a game. Sometimes when I kind of send out the angle, I could tell some people are hesitant, and you were like, "Cool, send it over." Even though you weigh 100 pounds and I'm sending you cask strength whiskey, you were like, let's roll with it. So before we get into anything, I've kind of like curated these pairings. So I sent you the samples. What we're going to start off with is Lucky Seven. So this here, you got that ready.
Yes.
So as you pour it and I pour it, I'll kind of tell you a little bit about this, just kind of why I decided to throw this in there. So it's a little bit on the nose because it says it's called a holiday toast. And this company is about film. So if you could see the bottle there, if you're watching, listening, but there's like,
Oh, the
um,
ticket. It's a ticket,
yeah,
right?
it's a ticket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
film
So it's like a
tickets.
film ticket. They were talking about like Warner Brothers Studio, I believe. Like it was Lucky Stage 7. Casablanca was filmed there, I believe. And so they're like overlapping whiskey and film, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, that's so
But
perfect.
the holiday toast is in nod to Terrifier 3 because with all that success, so I figured we'd go with a little holiday festive. We're kind of gonna go revisit Christmas here. So this is like a twice toasted bourbon. They take the bourbon, they put it in a second toasted barrel to kind of give it a little bit more flavor. So I'm gonna pour some out here. I actually might even end up finishing this bottle. Yeah, that's it. I guess look how fitting. It's a bottle kill.
Oh, heck yeah.
There we
Holy
go,
smokes.
right?
Okay.
That's so that's done. I have to order another one of those.
All right. I'm doing a smaller
Yeah,
uh
and I know you have a Jaeger cup there if you're watching or
it
listening. There is
is.
a Jaeger shot glass, but you do not have to shoot 57.5% whiskey
That's
before
true.
we
Oh
dive.
my God. I have whiskey glasses and like the rock, like frozen rocks. Why didn't I didn't think this
It's
through.
okay. I kind of like that you have a Jägermeister shot glass. It brings back
It's
some
actually my
memories.
favorite shot glass. I don't even like Jaeger anymore. That was like a college phase.
In college, I had the pump bottle of Jaeger. Like a friend gave me like the giant pump bottle. It was just on the counter there. Yeah, it was all fun until it wasn't, and then now I feel like I haven't had it in years, and I don't know if I'll revisit that one.
Yeah, I used to do Jaeger bombs back in the day, like with like Red Bull, right? Jaeger bombs is Red Bull.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now I have an intestinal disease. So no more Jaeger. No more Jaeger for me.
All right, Jamie. Well, cheers. I'm gonna take a sip of this.
Cheers.
Cheers. Now,
Oh wow,
I,
okay.
I'm curious, just for someone who like maybe hasn't obviously had this before. What's your first impression? Is it just a lot of heat?
It's a lot smoother than I thought it would be. Like
Okay, cool.
you know how you like you take a shot of something or you sip it classily. Um,
Yeah.
and sometimes you're like, oh gosh, yeah, like that. It didn't really burn. Um, Although now I kind of feel it. I feel like
It's
there was
they,
like a
they
little bit of an after,
they
an
call that the
after.
Kentucky hug.
I love it. I
Yeah, it's a
love it.
Kentucky
I
hug.
think
Yeah.
that's so nice. I'm gonna start. Oh man, I'm gonna start just taking shots of this when I feel like lonely or
Yeah.
sad or I just need
I just need a
I
hug.
need I need to be hugged.
Oh man. But it's
Oh,
funny you mention that because like I feel like yeah, like the even though it's cask strength and it's technically really strong, when it's a little bit more like pure and unadulterated, I feel like yeah, it feels like less harsh. Like I've
it's
had some
so
like you said
smooth.
40% stuff that it goes down and you're like what the hell? It tastes like ethanol.
Oh,
Um
yeah.
and yeah, so it's not bad. But yeah, for me I dive into I get why they call it holiday toast. I think there's a lot of like baking spice and just like a lot of like cinnamon, like all those good things I think you would have in a nice holiday baked spread
That's
of baked
fair.
goods. Yeah. So enough
Oh
about the
yeah.
whiskey. We have the whiskey in the glass. Um, so before we got into this, I watched the recent documentary, which we found out you would not watch just yet, Art Attack. So behind the scenes of like, well, it's making Terrifier 3, but it speaks a bit about 2 and like the whole franchise.
Oh, okay,
And
cool.
what was cool was that like we had been cross paths online, and I was like, okay, like I know Jamie's title, so it says like, first assistant director. I believe that's like the official title for
Hmm.
Terrifier. Am I correct?
For the third
But
one,
what?
yep.
Yeah, but then watching you like, and even just like snippets behind the scenes, I'm like, you're covered in blood, you're filming something, you're doing a lot of things. So if you were to describe like your role as like first assistant director, like in a nutshell, like what does that sound like? What exactly is your role on paper?
So on paper, first assistant director is typically in charge of the schedule, putting out fires. You're sort of the first, you're the liaison, I guess, between the director and the crew. So
Okay.
you're the one that, the director, you and the director have to be like this as far as knowing what's going on in their head. Um, and then communicating that to the rest of the crew.
Okay.
So it's and then of course on film sets things change so quickly and problems arise and then you have to shift and pivot and so on and so forth and constantly have to update the crew with these changes and everything that's going on
Okay.
so that the whole schedule doesn't get derailed because obviously time is money and we we need to make sure we stay on time. So that's I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Yeah, cool. That's basically what an assistant director does. They're in charge of the schedule. But for me, I'm like I need to be involved with everything. So
Mhm.
I end up just doing whatever is needed. So
Cool.
um on other movies when we talk later about stream I can kind of delve in a little bit more about how my role is a lot more fluid than
Okay.
just the assistant director because I always kind of have to dabble in like every not every department but I do a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, because like I said, like we've seen like on Instagram, you've put up some fun pics of like behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Um, and you just like covered in blood or like having fun, but then like also, yeah, like with schedule behind camera. So I think it's cool. And I think yeah, I get that notion quite a bit. Like watching the documentary, there's even talk about like just how tight of a community you guys are and how like passionate and involved you are, which I think is makes sense then kind of like why everyone's kind of all hands on deck and doing what you got to do to get the product out at the end or get the shot that you
Right.
want. How did you get involved with them anyway? Because you've been doing your JFR media for 10 years now. I think you hit your 10-year anniversary recently, so congrats.
In August will be 10 years. I started it in
Okay.
2015. So yeah, coming up.
Yeah, and you were doing all sorts of like short films, doing a whole bunch of different
Mhm.
projects. And then where's the connection between you and then jumping into Terrifier 2?
Yeah, so I Fuzz on the Lens would be my connection to Terrifier because 2014, I believe, I my first ever film that I worked on. I don't the film hasn't even come out, so there's no point
Okay.
explaining what it is. But but I had like a connection to someone in LA, like a friend of a friend in LA that was like, "Oh, my friend from LA is going to be doing a movie in Pennsylvania. You should get connected." And I was like, sure. So I ended up being a PA like for free. Just I was working a
Yeah.
full-time job during the day and then at nights I would go up and shoot overnight with them and then I would go it's insane. I don't know how I did it. But
The
I so I
hustle.
yeah, right. Hustle and like youth is on your side at that point.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
right. You can stay up for days and like no repercussions. Now I don't get 8 hours of sleep and I'm like, ooh.
Just running off Jaeger bombs. That's
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, right? No, so I met Fuzz on the Lens, which is like Michael Levy, who directed Stream, his brother Jason Levy, and then Steve Della Sala, and then basically their group.
okay.
And we just stayed connected and we've been working together for 10 years now. And uh from from that movie, there was another one that they did called Abnormal Attraction that I helped out on, and then they came and helped out on some of like my shorts, and it was just
Cool.
a mutually beneficial friendship and professional relationship that we built. And then they eventually were like, "Hey, do you want to be do you want to come help out a couple days on Terrifier 2? Because they were shooting in Philly and they're
Yeah.
in Staten Island. And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, sure. So I like dolly gripped and just kind of helped out for a few days on Terrifier 2. And then I was an extra like in the beginning, like running past the camera in the beginning.
I'm
Uh,
gonna like look for that now and
it's the first shot of Terrifier 2, the first scene,
okay.
the first shot of the film. It's like a dolly past garbage and like these two annoying girls and this like annoying guy and the one girl, me, like is like yelling at him like, oh my god, stop, you're so annoying, like just
Okay, I
whatever.
remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's me.
Okay, you're the
That's
annoying girl. Okay.
yeah, literally titled obnoxious teenager number 2. So that's my credit. Thank you. I'd like to thank the Academy. No, yeah, so but it was so much fun. And then so that's how I met Damien.
Mhm.
And David was on Terrifier 2. And then we did stream right after Terrifier 2. In fact, Damien was editing Terrifier 2 in his hotel room while we were shooting stream. So we would have to go like rip him out of his hotel room and be like, you need to do the blood effects. Like you gotta do this. And he would like do the effects and then go back to editing. And then
That's cool.
yes. So that's and then after stream came Terrifier 3, obviously. And it's just gone from there.
And like, without patting yourself on the back too much, like where would you say like, because you said that there's an important like being the liaison between like the crew and then working with Damien. How did you end up in that role? Like in terms of like you figuring out that you're like the right fit to kind of take on that for Terrifier 3.
So, okay. So I got asked in the end of 2020 to assistant direct stream.
Okay.
So, yeah, Steve Delasala was like, hey, would you want to AD stream? And I was like, I don't know what that means. And he was like, you already are an AD basically because
Yeah.
you produce, you do everything already. Like
Yeah.
you know how to AD, like it's in your blood basically. And I was like, okay. So stream was the first thing I ever assistant directed. And then for Terrifier 3, which was right after stream or shortly thereafter stream, I should say.
Hmm.
Damien asked me, it is actually a few people asked me, hey, Jamie, what do you think about assistant directing Terrifier 3? And I like laughed at them. I was like, no way. Because assistant directing is the most stressful job on any film set. Anytime I'm on a film set and I'm not ADing, I'm like, thank you, Jesus, because it's not me. It's not me doing it.
Yeah.
Um, but I would like laugh and be like, I'm not ADing Terrifier 3. Like, no way in hell. I was like, if he wants me to get him coffee, I'll do that before I AD it. So then Damien texted me on literally Christmas of
Fitting.
2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I never put that together, but yes, Christmas of 2023 is like, hey JFR, Merry Christmas. Would you want to assistant direct Terrifier 3? And I was like, hey, we can have a conversation.
Do you want a coffee?
Yeah, right. Like, what does that entail? But honestly, it was a really it was a really great experience. Like I feel like I've grown a lot as an assistant director and as just an individual from it.
Hmm.
So I'm glad I said yes. But yeah, that's how it came about. Was he
Well,
asked me and I finally kind of caved.
you're like now it's coming from him directly, and you can't say no. So,
Like he must be desperate. So let me entertain it. Because at first I thought they were trolling,
yeah.
and now here we are.
But what's crazy is that, and I had noted, and we kind of talked about it beforehand, was that knowing what an AD is now, I feel like there's no harder movie you could probably jump into than Terrifier 3 because it's like, and so in the documentary, you kind of mentioned that you're packing in like probably even sometimes more than 12-hour days, but like a whole
Oh, I
bunch
said
of
that on the
stuff.
documentary.
Well, you mentioned like just that 12-hour days were really long and like the amount of things that you have to cover. And you said like, makeup alone can be like 6 hours, and then you're doing like an effects piece. And obviously,
Oh, it's
if you're a
brutal.
Terrifier
Yeah.
fan, you know what's involved in all the practical effects.
Oh, yes.
So like trying to keep that going, right? Like it's like what were some of the biggest challenges of like, you know, keeping that like continuity, keeping everyone on track when you have like blood flying around. You're kind of managing everyone coming on and off set, and there has to be some consistency, I guess, because like what we see a beautiful piece on screen, like an awesome kill or something. But then, what does that look like, or what are the challenges with trying to like work up to that in like such a cram day?
Yeah. There's a lot of nuances, but really I can't take like credit for I mean the crew. We had such a great crew, really. I mean, so I'm I'm naturally good at organization. So
Yeah.
that kind of helps with like my department, my job. But we had our art department, our special effects team, our production assistants. Everyone's like on standby with like baby wipes, blood, not blood. Well, yes, on standby with blood. Not to clean up though. Baby wipes, paper towels, water, because the blood usually can just come up with water.
Okay.
Um, so and then we also have our like script supervisor, shout out to Marcus, keeping continuity, making sure like everything, you know, this new take matches the previous take and everything's consistent and continuity hopefully isn't going to be an issue.
Yeah.
And then it's all hands on deck, really, for mopping up the blood and making sure that our actors are comfortable or getting, you know, getting taken care of so that when they're wrapped, they're not just standing there like covered in blood. Like, now what do I do? So it's the team, honestly, like the team, the crew. Terrifier 3, I mean, it really wouldn't be what it is without the crew. And
Yeah.
like even with the same actors and the same, you know, above the line people, the crew, it was so all in. Like we all were so invested in making something great and wanting to
Yeah.
do the best we could. So that's I attribute a lot of the success to the crew.
Watching the documentary, you could really tell that like everyone is super invested and passionate. Were you successfully able to keep like cups of blood out of Damien's hands and
No, never. No, Damien has to have a hand in the effects, no matter what. I mean, it could be like perfect, and he's like, "Hold on, let me get a little paintbrush. I just gotta add a
It'll
little
scroll it.
teardrop of blood here." But honestly, like I think it's entertaining in like a endearing way, I guess, to watch Damien work because I like compare it to like a little kid like playing with like Legos or Connects,
Yeah.
like building Lincoln Logs, like really like invested and into it and like just using his hands. Like it's almost like childlike, but like in an endearing way. He's got to put his own
Yeah.
spin on it. And I've actually learned a lot about the appearance of like blood on set. And now I'll be watching like old school movies and I'll just be like, this blood looks like crap. Like Damien ruined blood for me because I'm like, what is this pink blood? What is this bright red blood? Ew, like it looks dry and crusty, not fresh and wet. Like it's yeah.
That's so cool. One day, like once we're done with formalities after this episode, I'm gonna just have you back, and we're just gonna go into weird stuff like judging blood in different movies.
We should just sit there and just rate like have like a blood rating system
Yeah.
like 1 through 10, like 6.5, too dry.
Yeah, too dry.
Didn't believe it came from the lower extremities.
Yeah, like I have to look into what was used in Blade's rave, the blood rave there. I can only imagine like clean up, like just learning a bit about that. Like we'll deep dive blood
Yeah.
somewhere down the line.
We'll just go all
But speaking of blood, so kind of like so you were around with Terrifier 2, but everyone in Terrifier 2 talks about the bedroom scene.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's like the kind of the one that drove people out of theaters, made people sick. And if kind of watching the documentary and learning a bit of like what goes into it, I was like, okay, well, aside from it being this like really gnarly, cool, gory scene, there's a lot involved in again the effects and pulling it all off. In Terrifier 3, what was like the most complicated sequence, at least that you were part of, to kind of that you saw come together?
I would definitely say the ending. The ending was really challenging to shoot, especially because um the spoiler, the
If you haven't
floor.
watched it, shame on you. Like the spoilers are allowed.
If you haven't watched it, don't like skip ahead like 45 seconds or so. The floor collapses, as you know, and Gabby falls into it. So we were at Bill Diamond's studio up in like more northern-ish New York. And he built him and his team built the recreated the living room scene set and dining room set up on like a 30-foot platform.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So now that's a whole lot of safety, regulations in place because only a certain amount of people can be on the set at a time. And we really have to do it like department by department. So like art department goes in, they set it up so it matches an identical um, model of what we shot in Long Island.
Hmm.
And then, they come down. Then our lighting team goes up and they set up the lights and then they come down. Then our art department goes back up, make sure that the lighting people didn't move anything and
Wow.
that it's still consistent. Then they come back down. Now our camera team goes up when they set the camera up. Then they come down except for maybe our operator. And then we sent our talent up there and our stunt coordinator or whatever. So that was really challenging, especially because there were so many minor things like on the Christmas tree, there's glass bulbs, but they like got broken and shattered. So now
Yeah.
we have glass. So at one point, Lauren ends up getting like a minor cut on her foot because she's barefoot. So we have
Yeah.
to bring her down. Then I go up there and I'm cleaning up glass and I'm scrubbing the whole like thing, because it's really like only one or two people at a time can be up there. So I think you would think that the shower scene would be like the most crazy because that was such like a crazy gory, so many.
That's where I went to right away.
That's
Yeah.
probably where everyone's goes to, but really the shower scene was pretty easy because we shot it in a locker room
Mhm.
and there's showers and drains
Yeah.
everywhere. So
Yeah.
really we're like hosing and mopping and like squeegeeing it into the drain. So cleanup, I mean, it's a lot of blood. So I'm not going
Yeah.
to say it was an easy cleanup, but comparatively to a 30-foot platform where we have to reset blood and we have to do it in chunks so that we're safe about it and then we have then they're down in the hole shooting up and we have like the wind blowing and the dust blowing and we have hay like it was
Yeah.
really chaotic with the platform but I mean it was awesome but that was definitely probably the most challenging just trying to keep everything on schedule
Yeah.
and move things along while we have to go up and down and up and down and
Uh,
reset and
I'm completely mind blown right now, only because again, so I thought about the shower scene when I was like thinking about
Mhm.
these questions, and the final scene, I did think like, okay, there's a lot going on,
Mhm.
but now it kind of makes sense because like you've posted a bunch of fun like behind the scene pictures, and like one of them, it's very clear you're in a house.
Mhm.
But then there was another one where you could tell like the wall, like after the wall ends, it's just like studio. So I guess
Right.
that's where
Bill
now,
Diamond, yeah.
and it's funny because you see it on screen that like falling through, but then yeah, I never really thought of like how that was done. And really, it's kind of cool because everything to a T is practical when it comes
Yeah,
to
yeah,
what you guys
Damien.
do.
That's something I do respect Damien a lot about or a lot. I respect him a lot for the fact that he likes to use practical effects and is not a big CGI person. So like
Mhm.
he'll make exceptions, obviously. Terrifier 2, Allie,
Yeah.
the bedroom scene, her eye when she is like half dead. She should be dead. No one knows why
Yeah.
she's alive. And
Yeah.
she's like, Mom, or something. And her eye,
Yeah.
it's a puppet, but her eye like blinks. So like obviously that's CGI. But for Terrifier 3, when we killed Danny Roebuck,
Mhm.
and it's like a whole puppet, like his top half, his eyes blinking and like looking around, that's real. That's practical effects.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
So minimal
mhm.
CGI.
Yeah. Um, like when you watch these things, it's crazy because like to pull it off to that degree, like, and I already knew that like that it's kind of like a callback to the 80s slashes and the practical
Mm-hmm.
effects, but I just didn't know how far in. And like again, when you have like it's tempting because you have CGI there, but it's just like Damien's commitment to it is like yeah, just super respectable and I think there's a level of authenticity and a lot of us like I always talk about like the nostalgia like we're like a kind of like a nostalgia generation in and around the same age. And we call back to all these other movies. And I think like when we talk about like art being iconic, I mean, there's definitely his character and whatnot, but even just the filmmaking is because that's what we know, right? I think a lot of us watched, all of these practical effects happen on screen. So like for me, that's comfort. I always joke that in a movie, like I'm so invested. There's like a build up, and all of a sudden I see some CGI creature, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm out. Like you've lost me.
Right. You can suspend disbelief to a certain degree, but
Yes,
I agree if they're so like CG like House of Wax, loved that movie. And then towards the end, the big fire scene stuff, it's
yes,
all CGI. And I was like, oh,
I
come on.
know. That's a great
Like
example. Yeah, House of
right.
Wax did
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and it's just that letdown because yeah, you're just yeah, you're that suspending that disbelief and building that tension, and then I'm like, this is what we got to you. Did this to me.
And honestly, like maybe I'm biased, but I think that the practical effects look so much better than the
Of
CGI.
course.
Like I
Yeah.
haven't, I mean, and maybe it's just because like I haven't seen a ton of movies in my lifetime, but like I feel like the CGI of gore that I've seen has always been like, compared to the practical effects that I've seen. I mean, did you
Yeah.
ever see The Fly? Have you seen The Fly?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, he's like when he's like with his finger and it's like I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
like,
know. And I think like when I watch CGI pieces, like there's one that I won't name that I watched recently, and the movie was good and it was fun, it was entertaining, it was like overtly gory, but because you knew it was CG, like, it was very clearly CGI,
hmm.
it didn't sell it the same way, and it was fine because it was kind of being light in what they were trying to achieve. But
Right.
I'm just like, yeah, when you see like a chainsaw ripping through fake flesh and blood squirting, and then you see kind of what that like it's visceral. It feels
Right.
real, like something's happening. So
My favorite is the CGI blood like spatter onto the lens. Like I'm like,
yeah.
oh God, oh man, you guys got me.
Yeah. You gotta offer it in
Not that
3D as
there's
well.
anything wrong with that. Not that
Yeah.
there's anything wrong with that. Like there's probably people that are gonna be like, oh my God, this
No,
is
I
so
think like
ridiculous.
if it's the audience that I'm gonna hope that like would listen to this, that they're all on board with what we're saying. Um, so speaking of like these setups and the final scene, there was like a bunch of pictures that I thought were super charming with like you and David Howard Thornton kind of like goofing around behind the scenes, and he's in the Santa hat and whatnot, and I guess it's in between you guys filming and him not puking, and
Oh yeah. The
um,
puking.
but like I know I feel like this is probably the most cliche question I have, but like how is it like working with him on camera and seeing him switch because he's obviously like they say everyone says he's goofy. I've kind of met him in passing. I've chatted with him online a bit, and you could tell he's like the nicest guy, and you guys are goofing off behind the scenes, and then it's like you hit record, or you start rolling camera, and then he's this like maniacal
Yeah,
sadistic
well,
clown. Yeah.
I think it's funny because Art the Clown is funny. Like
Yeah.
he's scary because of what he does, but his mannerisms are funny. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, like when Mia is like, I don't want to fuck him, and he's like, oh man,
Yeah.
like he's funny, he's silly, and like David is fun and silly as well in person on set. So when the cameras aren't rolling and we have time to kill between takes, a light is being tweaked or whatever. He like we're just hanging out, like we're just
Yeah.
like just we're on standby basically. So I have this video actually of him. It's the cutest thing. Um it's Chrissy Fox's daughter. So Chrissy Fox played the mom in the
Hmm.
opening scene, like freaking phenomenal. First of all,
Yeah.
amazing human being. She's the sweetest, like kindest woman, but also like her screams in the trailer, like just her screams in the trailer alone, I
Yeah.
like had chills, and I was there, like filming.
Yeah.
Anyways, not to go on a tangent, but
No, I'm eating it all up.
there's I have a video. I don't think I've posted it, but I have a video of Chrissy's daughter, who's like 5 or 6 at the time, at least.
Mhm.
Huge Art, like carries around a little Art the Clown plushie doll, and meeting Art the Clown, and they're like
Yeah.
playing patty cake together, like
Oh, that's
Art the
cute.
Clown and her
Yeah.
like playing patty cake, and then they do like a little like arm swing dance type thing, and it's just like so cute, like. But but yeah, David, he's just a fun guy, and like you have to have morale. Like when they were working long hours on like no sleep, and he's in makeup, like he's in prosthetics for 12 hours a day or however long. Like
Yeah.
he can't like eat without like a fork or can't drink without a straw. Like you have to do things that are fun and like kind of like stress relieving, and just like you have to remind yourself like we're making a killer clown movie. Like it's not that deep, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
let's have fun. That's what we're here to do.
yeah,
We make movies because we have fun doing it. We like this is what coming back to the camaraderie that you were talking
yeah.
about. I don't talk a lot on panels and Q&As because I hate public speaking, believe it or not. But
I mean, you're doing a great job so far. So,
it's
I
the
mean,
whiskey, yeah.
yeah,
No, um, but I the thing I always come back to is I'm doing what I love with the people I love. I'm doing what I love with my best friends. Like, what more could you ask for? And
yeah,
even though it's long days or like you're exhausted or temperaments, you know, tensions can be high at points. It's like we're making a clown movie and we're
yeah,
having fun. And that's really what we need to like kind of hone in on and what it comes back to. Because if you're not having fun, like why are we doing this? What are you doing?
yeah, yeah. And I think like when like part of for me when I think about like art being an iconic killer, I think like the humor and him being like a funny guy really sells it because I always say that he's so unpredictable. Like to me, it's like and like he's even not given the nod to like Freddy, but I'd even say
Mhm.
it takes it a step further where it's playful, like the bar scene. Like I mean, not because I'm biased because it's a, but like it's all fun and games until it isn't.
Right.
And just like when it switches, I think, it's cool because like you see like this goofiness and yeah, he is a clown and it's part of like David kind of like being expressive and hearing behind the scenes how he's kind of brought that
Right.
theatricality to the role. But I think it just works because it's such a stark difference when like all of a sudden like it's like almost like you could see the eyes go dark and then you get that whole other side.
The bar scene was actually when I read the script, I was most excited for the bar scene. And then when I found out Danny Roebuck, who's a friend of mine, was going to play
Yeah.
Santa, I was like, fuck yes, because
Yeah.
he's perfect for the role. Danny's great. Danny and him and Clint Howard
Hmm.
and Bradley, the three of them in that scene, they improved. That scene was a lot longer. They
Oh,
improved so much stuff and it was so funny. I mean, we're dying. Like we're dying.
yeah.
There's times where like where you know, we cut and then it's just like ha 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 like
Yeah.
just like everyone's cracking up afterwards. But the bar scene specifically to talk to what you were saying, how it goes from this like comedy laughing like it's all fun, and then for when we were filming I noticed when he pulls out the gun and he walks right up and his eyes are like low like looking up, that is such a menacing shot. I think like
Yeah.
that is such a menacing image of him, and it's such a contrast to moments earlier when he like pees on him and he's like like was that me, and then he's like boom, like very very stark contrast there.
And I think like that's what sells it. And like without going too much on a tangent, you and I both love tangents, but like the opening scene, I always say like when people talk about Terrifier 3, like as like my own preference, like the opening scene just brought it back to like this guy can be really fucking scary when you want him to be. Like I think it was
Right.
the most like invasive, like home invasion is just kind of like everyone has a fear of it.
And the
And
kids too.
yeah, and yeah, and like no one's left. And just even like, but like, I give the nod. Like my favorite part of the movie. Okay, smallest thing. I was like, if that was me and my wife, that would be the exact same conversation. Like, fuck, like I left the door unlocked and like not think anything of it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes like in, in
Right.
in horror movies, it almost seems like the
So
characters are almost playing
obvious.
too,
Like,
yeah,
how
so
could you
obvious.
do that? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly like you're like, yo, I'm tired, I'm a parent, I'm just trying to go to sleep. And yeah, like their response to it all was just like, but then you know what's going on and like Art walking the house and it's just like subtle and his back's turned to the Christmas tree. And like
Mm-hmm.
I get goosebumps literally talking about it because I'm like, it brings me back to like kind of like the first one and just like how like dark and creepy he can
And
be. But then
gritty.
also then
Yeah.
yeah. As a like obviously you're a fan yourself and kind of being involved. So Terrifier 4 we know is in the works. And like I told you before we got on here, I would never pry, or even if I don't even know what you know, but for yourself, is there anything that you would like to see, like even just as like a fan, like in number 4,
Yeah.
if it's a character arc with like Sienna or Jonathan, is there anything that you, like if you had like some kind of like directorial say in like where things went that you would like to see happen in number 4?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. Damien's a very private person.
Hmm.
even when he does like sides for auditions for roles, it's not even the real characters' names half the time.
Oh wow.
He's got it locked down. So I haven't read the script for Terrifier 4. I probably won't read it until like a couple days before shooting. No. Um, no, I'm hoping for more prep time this time than I did for Terrifier 3 because I had like literally like 32 days before we had to start shooting. And I was like, okay. Um, no, but I really when I read the third script, I was really like, oh, when Jonathan got an off-screen death, I was
Yeah.
like, that's not going to sit well with the fans because
Yeah.
Jonathan's like a beloved character, and in my personal opinion, like whatever that's worth, I feel like he should have had a bigger role as far as like his death goes.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me to believe that he might maybe make a return in the fourth, whether it's a like whether Sienna sees him in like hell or
Yeah.
sees him in a flashback, or if that really wasn't his skull. Spoiler at the end.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's what I'm hoping. I don't know anything. You could have a gun to my head and be like, "Give me the answers," and I'd
Eh,
be like,
Listen, I just have whiskey. I just have whiskey to give you. I don't have.
I have nothing for you." I'd be like calling Damien, like, "I need a favor." No, yeah, I hope that Elliot comes back because I mean we actually like we had more shoot days scheduled with him and then things got jumbled with the schedule
Yeah.
and so it was so funny because we were like, oh, we'll see you in 3 weeks, and then it was like, just kidding, turns out you're
You're
dead. um which was really
oh,
a shame because and his family, Elliot's family is so nice, they're so sweet, and his girlfriend, they're like the loveliest people.
yeah.
um, so I'm hoping that Jonathan makes a return for Terrifier 4, but it's hard because Elliot's like he's young, and when you're
Hmm.
younger, you mature quicker as far as
Yeah,
your
there's bigger
looks
jumps.
go. Just
Yeah.
like right, just like Amelie from the little pale girl from Terrifier 2, she aged
Yeah.
out of that role so quick because you kids grow
Yeah.
quickly, kids
Yeah.
grow fast. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I hope that we see Jonathan again though.
I think what's cool is that the door is always open because, like you said, with the supernatural element that's
Right.
been integrated, like yeah, whether it be like a vision or that he like there's communication from beyond or whatever it might be. I think it's cool that that leaves room for possibilities there. So I think who knows. But again, like I told you before we jumped on here, I don't even watch trailers.
Right,
So
right, right.
like I'm just super excited, and I feel like at the end of the day, I think Terrifier 3 for me was a grand statement because yes, there was more money involved, but like Damien was very steadfast on like not allowing too many people to like make executive decisions in terms of like, as he kind of mentioned earlier, like people trying to shop it around and like, big companies like willing to throw money, but then having some creative control. So I feel like at the end of the day, when it's people who are passionate about it, whether it be Damien writing it himself or like you working on set, it's a family, it's the same crew. Like you said, there's all a care and commitment to what you get. So I feel like it doesn't matter. Like I know I'm going to enjoy for it. And there's like this weird comfort that comes from it that I haven't had in a franchise for so long
Oh,
because
that's so
like
that's so
yeah
endearing.
like and it's not just the Kentucky hug speaking but this is like but like no I'm a huge Halloween fan, right? Like I know
Yeah.
very cliche, like I watched Halloween when I was young, and like you just get like you buy into it and you're like, oh, like Michael, like I just want like the story, but then you're like at the mercy of whoever has Michael's rights at the time, and then
Yeah, yeah.
timelines, all that stuff, right? But like I feel like right now it's just been like Damien's baby, and then you know, indirectly everybody else's baby as well who's
Hmm.
involved and part of the team. And I just feel like that's evident in there. So I'm like, you could fucking go any direction with this story, and I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to be fun, and I know it's going to be authentic. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I do appreciate that Damien stays true to his own values, and I think that's why Terrifier 4 is rumored to be it's going to be the last one because um it's just too much to keep going, and I think Damien has other endeavors that he wants to
Hmm.
pursue, but but that's so we'd rather probably put Terrifier to rest than be like, yeah, let me sell the rights to whatever, insert big studio name here.
Yeah,
Because I don't foresee him being a sellout. Not that there's anything wrong with being a sellout,
yeah.
but I don't foresee him doing that. So I do have a lot of respect for his choices in that sense.
Yeah, and I think like even if, like there's some, yeah, there's a level of respect where if like you're like, okay, I can wrap it up here and this is where I feel like the story ends and like the character story arcs come to a close. And but like because there's that level of authenticity, again, I feel like if he 6, 7, 8, 10 years later was like,
Mhm.
we're bringing it back, everyone would be right back on board because
Right, right.
he chose to cap it off at
I
that point.
100% agree. I 100% agree. And I think he could do that. I think he could take a hiatus, focus
Yeah,
on his own stuff, and then see where he's at, see if he
yeah,
wants to bring it back. And, there's always that option that he could if he wanted to. But I
yeah.
don't think he would sell it to someone else. I mean, Art the Clown's like his baby, that character. He said he developed Art the Clown in like 2006 or something. Like
Yeah,
he's been running with Art the Clown for a long, long time. So I don't
yeah.
think he's just going to be like, yeah, here you go. Here's my life's work. Go ahead.
Yeah, to me, yeah, it's just a cool success story and just like again the commitment over time. And I think like if you're on the outside or you're not like a huge horror fan, you're like, oh, cool, like Art the Clown's awesome and he's this new horror icon. But when you look at like 2 decades essentially of like building this character, like there's a lot
Right.
that's gone into it. The group seems like again, there's that camaraderie. You guys are all friends. Was there ever a good like Terrifier night out?
We're like this motley crew with the skill set that we've just like garnered over the years of doing things sort of our way.
Hmm.
And it works, I guess.
For sure.
But yes, we have many stories. More, I would say more from Stream because when you're locked in a hotel for 6 weeks together during COVID versus Terrifier, where
I forget that that was during COVID because I remember kind of
COVID.
seeing updates. Yeah, wow, okay.
Yeah, but one of my favorite memories that I will recall is when we were shooting in Long Island for Terrifier 3, and we the majority of the crew was staying in like this mansion in Long Island. It was an Airbnb with like
Yeah,
13 bedrooms, like 15 bathrooms, whatever. But so we're all living in this Airbnb.
that's cool.
And one of the nights, we wrapped filming and we had off the next day. So of course we had like a little like shindig and there's a sound system. This house was so cool. There was a
Yeah.
sound system built into the walls of the house and like out by the pool. Like, so I connected my phone. Like, I don't think people knew that this existed, but I
Yeah.
did. So I connected my phone and I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna be the DJ.
Oh yeah, I
So
respect that.
yeah. So it's like it's loud. People are like people are having a good time, drinking, socializing, whatever. And I put on the song Bad Moon Rising. Do you know
Nice.
that
Yeah, yeah,
song?
yeah.
So I put that song on and so it's like blasting and all of a sudden it goes from being really loud of people talking and just like laughing, talking, whatever typical socializing setting to like silence and then everyone breaks out into like I see a bad moon rising and they all just start singing and I was like
That's amazing.
this is exactly what I wanted to happen. Like this is exactly how I wanted this to go. And then it just
That was
worked
your
out.
DJ moment. You're
Dude, I was so like, I felt like I was having like a religious experience. I was like, I made this. No, no, it was so much fun. Honestly, like we laugh. I have laughed so hard on Terrifier, on Screamboat, like just from the guy, mostly Mike Levy, honestly.
yeah.
That man is so funny. I have laughed to the point of tears, like tears, or like I'm like down on the ground in the fetal position because I can't breathe because I'm laughing so hard. And like, who doesn't want to be around people like that? Like, who
Yeah.
doesn't want to be around people that make you laugh because of like the stupid things that they say or do, or like just like the silliness of it all? Like, it's just, they're just fun people. Like, I literally say, like, they're my family. They're like my brothers. I love them the way I love my family. And
Yeah.
I mean, I would do anything for them.
It's like again, like you could tell like it's untainted and that like everyone's having a good time. And like even again from like as a fan's point of view, I'm just like if you guys just keep it in the family, everyone just starts making projects and like doing movies and it becomes like this movie and that movie. I'm like,
That's what
because
we're
I'm like,
doing.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's great that you're keeping that going because I'm like, yeah, like first of all, ride that success, but then also like for you and hearing these stories, like have fun with it, like ride that
Hmm.
wave, like enjoy the success, and why not like do what you do in the best environment possible with like people you consider family.
Right,
Um,
exactly.
I have this bottle here next, Angel's
That
Envy.
heck
Um,
yeah, okay.
so the couple things I'm going to mention here. So why I went with this one. It's a rye whiskey, so it's you're gonna like as soon as you even smell it or taste it, it's very different from the last one. But a couple things here. So we have like the angel wings on the back.
Oh, that's
And
pretty.
I was like, yeah. So it's like a kind of I to me it was like a call back to Sienna and like the get
Yes.
up for number
Perfect.
two.
Perfect. Yes.
But the other thing is, and actually it's fitting. I'm wearing his shirt. Like so, my buddy Ben from Fright Rags,
Oh,
and he did like this one here with the yeah. So it's like if you're listening, I'm showing my shirt right now, but this is like just like the grindhouse version of like art, and it's like just one of my favorite shirts.
what
But
are the bottom? What are the images on the bottom?
here, like let me just just because a couple of like the death scenes there of just a couple different
Okay.
corpses. Yeah.
Got you. Got you. I was trying to place which ones they are, but
Yeah.
so many I can't tell.
But Ben of Fright Rags, who did the shirt, like him and I, whenever we have Angels MD like finished rye, we're always like, it's Christmas in a glass. Um, and like just like Christmas like cake. And the other last bit of it is that so David and I have exchanged a few messages before things popped off. So just before like Terrifier 2 went crazy, like there was a good conversation. He was like, "Look, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm not like the biggest whiskey guy. Because at first I didn't even have the podcast. I was just doing like Instagram lives,
Oh,
and
cool. Okay.
I was like, and it was a little bit more raw and fun. But I was like, David, let's jump on and have some drinks together. Um, and we chatted and he was busy and Terrifier 2 started taking off, but he mentioned that he's not really a whiskey guy, but he does like rum. And he
Oh,
likes
okay.
and he says he likes, some cocktails and rum cocktails. So this here
Mhm.
is it's rye finished in Caribbean rum casks. So I thought like
Okay.
to bring it like this is what I do, just bring it all back into full circle. So yeah, I'm gonna pour some in my glass so I can stop talking and do more
I
drinking.
poured mine. A good amount of it went onto my laptop, but it's okay. I used my arms as a napkin.
I
But
will send you money for the laptop.
it's
If your
all good.
keyboard no
Trust me.
longer works tomorrow, yeah.
No, it's all good. It's my my lack of coordination skills here, but it's good. It worked. We got
Yeah.
it.
Um, so on the nose, I'm not sure if like if to you if it stands out as like super different, but like yeah, like, so it's a rye whiskey, so it's like rye dominant.
It smells like it's gonna bite more than the Lucky Seven one.
So yeah, rye is known to be a bit more spicy.
Oh boy.
So like yes. So this one's like so even though it's lower in proof, so it's 50%.
Right.
But yeah, like the rye forward, like rye is a little bit more spicier. But they say with it comes a little bit more like floral, fruity notes. And then it's like done in the it's finished in a rum cask. So I'll stop talking. We'll take a sip. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh yeah. Way more of a bite for sure.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a quick hit of the ethanol up front, but now
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a little bit of like the fruity, almost like raisins. You know what it tastes like? Almost like when you had like when I would just like down a
Yeah.
box of raisins as a kid. I don't know why that's what's coming to mind right now, but
I don't know if I would say raisins, but definitely like when you like exhale with your mouth closed, you can taste like I get what you mean when you say like floral-ish or fruity, I
yeah,
meant ish. But raisins maybe, I don't know.
I'm just quietly now exhaling into
It's
my
not
mouth, but
yeah, right. Right. Doing like those yoga like
yeah, just a
exhales.
deep breaths. Yeah,
Um yeah, Lucky Seven, I feel like was like a nice warm hug. This one was like a nice kick in the chest. Right?
this is when you really feel down. Like the hug is like you need some comfort, and this one here is like you're really hard on yourself,
This
and
one, yeah, this is like you need a pep talk. You need like a slap in the face. You need some liquid to like yell at you, like pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Come on, soldier. Like that's what that's what the angel wings are, or angel's envy's for.
I'm never gonna look at these the same way. After,
You're like my mood. You need a mood chart based on
yeah,
like what you want to drink. Like, do I want to
just
get
move. Yeah.
screamed at? Do I want David Goggins behind me screaming at me to stop whining? All right, I'll drink this.
I already thought I did pairings and whatnot, but now there's like a whole other level of
There's
attachments to
emotional
the.
pairing. You did
Yeah,
pairings. You did pairings for like, theoretical things. Now you need
yeah,
emotional pairings.
yeah. I just gotta go into those like deep emotions.
There you go. There you go.